Just approaching MCA at Leicester. I've been here since 1950. It's a motorcycle outlet shop I've not been to before, and I'm going to talk to them today about the Halvarssons Walkyr jacket and trousers for my winter get up. So let's go inside and see how we get on.
Oh, it's come, has it?
I got the phone call yesterday, as you've probably just seen on the, you might have seen on the video, from MCA to let me know that the Halvarssons suit has now arrived from Sweden via all ports. So I'm inside just to check the sizing and off we go. So join me inside. I am trying on the suit. We tried a 52 and a 54 because of sizing. I just actually feel the 54 is a slightly better fit for me. A little bit more room, and by the time the back protector's in, that's going to be right. I sat down on a chair with the top on and just felt this was about right. So let's have a good look at the Walkyr suit then, shall we? What was my requirement? As you know, whenever I buy anything, I always try to really think through my requirement. What job do I want this to do? And this was actually my most expensive ever item of clothing that I bought, so I really wanted to think everything through. I've got leathers for summer use, and last year I also used those leathers through the winter, and they did a reasonably good job, but I found that I was actually getting a little bit cold, and also in terms of the waterproofness, that wasn't quite as good as I was actually looking for. So obviously I've got a budget. I wanted to start pushing out my distances, particularly over the winter. I'm an all-year biker. I actually learnt to ride again after 37 years in the winter, so I want to keep going on the bike, and of course riding an RT you're protected with the fairing and the various heated seats and grips and so forth, so that really helps. I was looking for something that's going to give me a really long life as well. You know, if I'm going to make a significant investment, and I want probably, let's say, at least 5 and hopefully 10 years of life out of whatever it is that I actually buy. And I'm looking for world-class protection. I'm looking for the best-in-class protection, as they always say, don't they? Dress for the slide, not the ride. So for me, I suppose I'm looking for a winter suit that's going to give me what I would call 2.5 season protection. So it's got to obviously protect me through the really cold part of the winter, but as well as that, through the cold part of the spring and the sort of later half of the autumn as well. And in the rest of the time, the rest of the 1.5 seasons, I guess I'll revert back to the actual leathers. So that's the plan. So that was my requirement. Now, when you start to research these textile suits, there's clearly a whole range of different things that you can buy. And you know, I was originally tempted by the idea of buying something like a rucker suit. And of course, when you look at the rucker suits, they look absolutely marvellous. But of course, they're darned expensive, aren't they? You start to think about how you can shave a little bit off that cost, and you go from a fully laminated rucker suit down to one of these rucker suits with something called a Z liner, or what's also known as a drop liner. It looks a bit like a bin liner, doesn't it, that actually fits inside your suit. So here's the sort of classic drop liner that fits inside my leather jacket. Okay, I guess it looks very similar in the inside the jackets of many textile suits as well, but you always sort of feel a bit like you're wearing a bin liner. And of course the drop liner has certain other disadvantages when you open the vents on a suit, but actually the air can't get through to your body, so particularly in the summer it's not going to cool you particularly well. The other factor with a textile suit with a drop liner is they suffer from something called wet out, because clearly the external fabric gets soaked because it's not inherently waterproof. The waterproofing is actually provided by the drop liner itself. So the suit not only gets heavy, but also because it's wet, with the airflow over the suit as well, you're actually going to lose body temperature as well. So that doesn't particularly help. And then of course the other thing which I started to find out was that with some of the rucker type suits as well, with these heavier laminated suits, there are a number of disadvantages. The disadvantages include that with these, I guess, heavy-duty laminated suits, they are stiffer, so they tend to be less comfortable to wear. They're clearly heavier, so you've got a weight burden. But also, as well as that, you've clearly got the price penalty. So and as you know, if you want a sort of a set of pants and a jacket in Rucker, you're not going to get much change out of £2,000 by the time you're finished. So I actually didn't realise there was anything else. But then, as always, I tried to do my research thoroughly, and I came across this name of Halvarssons. Halvarssons was a company I'd never heard of before. So what I found out was that Halvarsson is based in Scandinavia. It's existed, I think, for about a century. I think something like 1926. It originated with things like leather clothing, sort of fashion items and so forth. But increasingly, it's got more into technical gear, with particular relation to things like snowmobiling. And clearly, if something works, as Halvarsson's parent company, Jaffarma, actually says, if it works in Scandinavia, then it's probably going to work anywhere in the world, because Scandinavia gets typically summertime temperatures. I think the maximum summertime temperature, I think, was 38 centigrade. So can get quite hot there, but obviously in the winter you're down into the minus 40 centigrades, which is far colder than anything we get this side of Europe, here in the UK. So bottom line is, if it's going to work in Scandinavia, it's actually going to work. It's actually going to work anywhere. So Halvarssons you may not have heard of, but in Sweden, certainly in Scandinavia, Halvarssons is a household name. So the unique selling point, the USP of the Halvarssons gear is, with particular reference to this Walkyr jacket, it actually replaces what they call their prime suit. Well, it doesn't actually replace it, because the prime suit is still available actually, but the prime suit has a drop liner. And for an extra 60 quid or so, you can actually buy this suit, which is actually laminated, which is the Walkyr suit. Okay, so as I say, their unique selling point is that in effect you're getting the quality of Rucker, but for around half the price actually. You're getting the flexibility of a drop line suit in a laminated suit. And because it's actually a laminated suit, it's not going to get saturated like a drop line suit, like I was just talking about. So in other words, you don't get this wet out sort of thing happening. Also, that means it's going to dry out faster. Clearly, if you're out for a ride and you hang it up in the cafe, put it across the back of your chair, I'm guessing by the time you put it back on again, it's probably going to be dry again. And as well as that, it's going to stay warmer because of its water repellent. So I'll go into all the sort of technical sort of specifications in just a second. So let's talk about the technology, shall we? As you know, whenever you buy a garment, whether it's a pair of underpants from Marks and Spencer's or a fancy jacket like I've just bought, you get a handful of these labels, don't you, attached to the suit, and normally they're the first thing you sort of cut off and stick in the bin. But I think it's important that we actually talk about those today, because it's the combination of these technologies that actually make up the suit itself, and actually how it's all going to work. So the first one I want to talk about then is this material, which is known as Outlast. Okay, so Outlast, interestingly, was developed by NASA, and its part goes into the spacesuit of astronauts. And it was designed to regulate extreme fluctuations in temperature. And essentially what you get is a fabric which is impregnated with millions of tiny little capsules of paraffin that essentially act as a sort of a heat regulator. So they absorb, retain, and actually give off heat. So what they will do is they will, on a warm day, they will take heat from your body. They will absorb that heat, and they will actually transfer that heat. So actually, I've read reviews of even on summer's days in the UK of riders quite happily riding along, in sort of 25 degree centigrade temperatures, very, very comfortably. But it actually works in reverse as well. So assuming that you've actually had your sort of suit hang up in a warm environment before you put it on a cold winter's day, it acts rather like a hot water bottle, and actually it will actually give off heat back into the body and actually keep you warm. So and the idea is that these little capsules, when the temperature sinks, the liquid turns to solid, which actually releases heat. So the overall effect of Outlast is to actually balance out differences in temperature. So it reduces sweating. It acts as a bit of, I suppose, what you call a thermal shock absorber. Keeps you cool when it's hot, keeps you warm when it's cold, and it's essentially, to me, that sounds like a really good proposition. So clearly I've yet to test that yet, because I actually wanted to do this internal review before I sort of took it out on the road and got it dirty, so I can sort of show you what it looks like brand new. And clearly over the next few ride outs I'll actually give you my considered opinion as to how it works, and I'm going to try and pick some really horrible weather as well to actually test it out in. Right, so the next technology we need to talk about then is this thing called Halvarssons, okay, which is Halvarssons' proprietary material. And what Halvarssons does is to increase the strength of the fabric of a suit or the pants as well. And what that does is increase the abrasion resistance by something in the order of over 500%. I think 520% is the calculated number. And if you go onto the Halvarssons website, you can actually look at the reviews and the tests that they've actually performed there. And the way it achieves that, if you look at it under a very high magnification, is that rather than just being a flat surface on top of the fabric, what you've got actually is many thousands of very, very tiny loops, which actually absorb and again act as a shock absorber to actually help you with resistance should you actually come off and actually end up sort of grinding against the tarmac. So that's Halvarssons, and as I say, that's Halvarssons' proprietary material. Okay, so then we need to talk about Dryway Plus actually, which is built into the suit. So what this is, essentially it's the same as Gore-Tex. Again, it's, as I understand it, it's a Halvarssons proprietary material. It's a highly flexible, breathable, waterproof membrane. What's interesting to note about this, by the way, with all these breathable membranes like Gore-Tex, like Dryway, is they allow water vapour to permeate through the fabric, yeah? But it permeates from the warm side to the cold side. So under normal conditions, that's going to work really, really well. The downside, of course, is, some of you may have experienced this, I'd be interested to hear what your experience is if you've got, say, a heated seat or heated handlebar grips, and you've got Dryway or Gore-Tex gloves, actually that can allow the water vapour to actually come back the opposite way. A bit like reverse osmosis, I guess. But this Dryway has been, as I understand it, I did contact the factory, and they were very responsive, by the way. And this has been utilised by Halvarssons for something in the order of 20 years. Okay, so it is a very well proven product. I must be honest, again, that was new to me, because I was looking for a Gore-Tex suit, and I suppose I had my blinkers on, and Gore-Tex suit usually means it's going to be expensive, and it usually means it forces you down the rucker route. And I was not too sure about Dryway, but having actually researched it, asked the questions, it is a very well proven technology. Right, the next thing then, and again it's something that probably you'll all be familiar with, is what's called a durable water repellent, and in this case it's known as Teflon. Okay, so Teflon coating, you can buy this in spray cans, can't you? You can actually spray clothes with it, you can spray settees and carpets with it and so forth. And what this does for the suit is basically to give it an outer fabric rainproof protection, which actually helps to repel the water. So as I said, it's a durable water repellent. It's actually impregnated into the fabric as well. Okay, and it works together in conjunction with the Dryway to stop the fabric wetting out. The final technology, again one that's very well known, is Thinsulate, which is obviously, you've probably got it in a pair of gloves or a hat or a coat at home, but it's woven into the actual inner jacket fabric. So all those technologies work together: the Halvarssons, the Dryway Plus, the Teflon, the Thinsulate, YKK zips as well, obviously the best in class zips that you actually get. So they're all working for you. Sorry, I forgot to mention Outlast as well, the actual Outlast as well. So all those technologies work together to actually provide the whole sort of feeling around the suit. And I've got to say, I'm a real stickler for detail, and I've been examining this suit now. I've had it for about a week. I haven't actually taken it out on the bike yet because I've not had the chance. But it just looks to be stitched together in such a really nice way. It's got a real look of quality about it. Okay, so that's the technology. Okay, so let's look at the suit itself then, shall we? Okay, so let's put it on. there we go. So I've already got the pants on. I'll show you those in a second. But I've got to say, it's I've gone for a 54 in the jacket and the pants. I'm just under 6'1". I think I weigh about 13.5 stone, something like that. So I've got a 33-inch inside leg. Actually, my waist is about 36 inches. If that sort of helps any of you with sizing. But the impression you get when you put the suit on is it's just beautifully tailored. It just fits where it should. It sort of touches where it should. It feels comfortable, and when you zip the thing together, okay, it as I say, it just gives you this idea of it's just beautifully tailored. Actually, nice little feature actually is this magnetic catch. Let's just get this on the camera. Yeah, this magnetic little catch here. So rather than having a pop stud to actually fasten the top here, you just flip it across, and you can probably hear that. It's just a little magnetic catch that actually holds it together. And with me, I don't know about you, but I hate anything restricting around my neck. But the way the suit has been designed around the neck actually feels very, very comfortable. So let's take a look inside, shall we? So the first thing then we can note here is there's a nice outer zip pocket there. That's actually waterproof. That's in a waterproof compartment. It's got two good, I suppose, what you call hand warmer pockets at the side. Certainly big enough for a wallet or a bunch of keys or something like that. I can sort of comfortably get there's my hands. I can comfortably get my hands in there. And then if we then unzip the jacket, it's actually sealed by Velcro as well as a YKK zip. Okay, and then again on the inside now, you can see there's like a sort of a big, almost like what I call a sort of a poacher's pocket type thing, which is quite a loose pocket here for putting, you know, various bits and pieces in. I don't know, maybe an item of clothing or a neck warmer or something like that. On the right hand side of the jacket we have yet another waterproof pocket. Okay, so plenty of pockets, but quite nicely designed. Now you can see here as well that the Outlast and thin silhouette waistcoat, which is sort of zipped into the jacket, just fits really, really nicely. So there it is. Okay, you can see that side as well, and also here at this place you can actually see the zip, which is going to connect it to the pants later on. Okay, so just beautifully made, I have to say. Fits together really, really well. Okay, note as well the vents. We've got vents on both shoulders. Okay, so that's going to keep you cool in the warmer weather. The cuffs, there's plenty of room to actually adjust those. Okay, with Velcro you can tighten those up if you want to. It's got a nice little zip here, and I've actually tried that with my held gloves. I've tried the held gloves inside of those and outside of those, and there's no problem either way. Okay, as regards safety protection, the highest standard of safety protection in Europe is known as EN 1621-2, which is level 2 protection, and that covers the elbow protectors. Okay, they're there, the shoulder protectors, and also I've got the proprietary Halvarssons back protector inserted in the back pocket as well. So it really does cover all the bases in terms of your protection. Okay, literally everything is covered. Over the next few weeks I'll take this out on the road. We'll test it in a variety of different conditions, and we'll actually see how all these technologies work. But for me, I've got to say the whole thing just works beautifully. I think what I like about it as well, I actually quite like the austere look. I find with a number of these suits, they sort of look a little bit flash, you know, but I just like the idea of austerity. Let's take a look at the trousers now then. So I don't need to repeat all the technical detail about the trousers, because it's exactly the same technologies as the jacket itself. But again, for me, they just fit like a glove. Again, it's just like they've been tailored for me. I've tried the trousers with my boots. They fit over boots, they fit under boots, and you can see that you've got a zip system here. Okay, you finish the thing off with Velcro. Okay, just like the arms, I didn't point this out on the jacket, but just like the arms on the jacket, you can actually tighten them up if you want to with these pop studs. You've got these vents as well down the legs, so you can open them up in the summer. Okay, two really good pockets there, which again I like the feel of. They're actually lined with this, I see that's some kind of fabric material. The braces are just attached with grippers, so there's no sort of buttons or pop studs there. And what I also like about it is it's quite generous at the back as well. When you actually sit down on the bike seat, you know, I think sometimes for some people you might feel that's actually going to sort of stretch down and actually expose the lower part of your back, and actually it does. It actually covers your back very, very nicely. So as I say, for me the whole thing just fits together beautifully. So here's the high-vis vest attached, and as you can see it's actually only a half-length vest. And again, I quite like that, because there is a bit of a debate, isn't there, which I've been sensitive to, about the fact that in some situations full high-vis actually makes you blend in against the background. Some riders will swear to the fact that actually wearing all black is the safest colour because of the contrast with the background. So particularly if you're riding against a sunny background, or if you're riding against pale golden coloured autumn leaves, then actually the high-vis vest acts as camouflage. So I think the idea of having both black and high-vis I think works really, really well. So again, it's on there, you know, you don't have to attach it if you don't want to. It's actually just attached by a couple of elastic loops under the arms, and it zips together along the front. But I just think that looks really tasteful. Whichever way you look at this suit, you can understand, what you get is the idea that you've got proven technologies here that have been refined over several years. This suit here, as I said, is actually built on the preceding suit in the range, which was the Prime suit, which had the drop liner. But you just get the impression it's been refined. It just fits me absolutely like a glove. It's almost like as if Halvarssons had handmade this suit for me. So I've got to say, it feels really, really nice. Okay, so summing up, does the Halvarssons Walkyr suit and wish trousers, these are called the wish trousers, the wish pants, does that get the back to the bike seal of approval? It absolutely does. Clearly I've got to go and road test it, but first impressions are very, very positive. It just occurred to me actually before I made the review that this was the single most expensive item of clothing I'd ever bought actually. But then again, it's going to last me, I would think, probably 8 to 10 years. Again, just speaking to the technical guy in the factory, this material is very well proven, and they've got experience of certainly feedback of people actually using this material, which has actually gone into these suits for periods up to sort of 8 or 10 years as well. I also need to mention as well something I haven't mentioned so far: the fact that the suit is actually used by some of the UK's police forces. And also I think the Australian police force as well, and various other sort of special forces units. You've got to look as well at the Halvarssons track record in terms of sort of snowmobiles and things like that. So clearly this gear is actually built to be very very robust and actually deal with those extremes of temperature. So as I said, I think I mentioned earlier in the video, the fact that in Scandinavia, if it works there, it's certainly going to work in the UK. So I've got no hesitation in commending it to you. It certainly gets the back to the bike seal of approval, and I think it's there. You know, I know we've had a number of comments through the appearing underneath the video of people who are looking to actually replace their suits. So I would say certainly take a look at this. In my opinion, I mean, I've got to be honest, I've not seen a rucker suit. I've not actually put a rucker suit on, and clearly the quality is there. But if you don't want to spend that kind of money but want that kind of quality, I think Halvarssons is certainly worth a look. Okay, so back to the bike, signing off. Let me know what you think, and as always, I look forward to your comments and feedback in the questions as well. Okay, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.